to be here with you. Vinay Ji, thank you for joining Bharat Marg. भारत मार्ग में सबके लिए स्वागतम. विनय जी आपके लिए भी बहुत बहुत स्वागत. दोस्तों आज हमारा बातचीत होगा ट्रबल फॉर इंटरनेशनल स्टूडेंट्स who are dreaming to come to Canada. Big trouble. Let's talk to Vinay ji on it. What are all the changes coming, folks? It's a very important thing. अगर आपको ऐसा लगता है कि आपको कनाडा में आके पढ़ना चाहिए, क्या आप क्वालिफाई होंगे, क्या आपके लिए टाइटन हो गया, आप आ नहीं पाएंगे, आप आएंगे, ये पूरा विनय जी आपका एनालाइज करके बताएंगे. क्या इसके बाद भी रहेगा कनाडा बेस्ट डेस्टिनेशन फॉर द इंटरनेशनल स्टूडेंट्स? यही हमारा सवाल है विनय जी के पास. उसके जाने के पहले दोस्तों प्लीज लाइक द वीडियो, कमेंट करें, अपने वीडियो को शेयर करें, जितना भी ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों तक पहुंच पाएंगे प्लीज हेल्प अस, क्योंकि जब आप शेयर करते हैं बहुत सारे लोगों को जानकारी मिलती है. ओके, इसके अलावा दोस्तों अगर अभी तक आप सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो प्लीज सब्सक्राइब द भारत मार्ग चैनल एंड आल्सो प्रेस द नोटिफिकेशन बेल टू स्टे कनेक्टेड. और इसके अलावा हमारा हर दिन का एक धार्मिक मैसेज आती है, उसको व्हाट्सएप में उसको पाने के लिए आप हमें एक व्हाट्सएप भेज सकेंगे +16479644790. ओके, and send a WhatsApp, stay connected. We cover on this. Vinay ji has been doing a fantastic job. We have two important in this aspect. We have three important playlists which you can check it out. Number one is Canada News. Number two is Canada Immigration. Third is Vinay Ji Touts. Okay, please do check up these playlists and you will have more information. Vinay Ji, welcome again. Welcome to Bharat Marg. Yeah. So Vinay Ji, huge trouble. Say us what's really happening. क्यों ऐसा कर रहा है? Already भारत से ज्यादा आते हैं लोग, okay, पढ़ाई के लिए. वो already because of the mismanagement on the foreign policy already गिर गया है, 40-50% के आसपास गिर गया है. अभी ये मूव क्यों?
So just so that everybody knows that on the 7th of December, about 5 days ago, the Canadian government, represented by the Honorable Mark Miller, Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship, announced that starting January 1st, 2024, which is in about 2 weeks or just a little over 2 weeks, the cost of living financial requirements for study permit applicants, okay, that means international students, will be raised, okay, so that international students are financially prepared for life in Canada. So moving forward, this threshold will be adjusted each year when Statistics Canada updates the LICO, which is the low income cutoff. So low income cutoff represents the minimum income necessary to ensure that an individual does not have to spend a greater than average portion of income on necessities. So just so that you know, for the background, the cost of living requirements for study permit applicants has not changed for the last 23 years, okay, since the early 2000s, when it was set up at $10,000 for a single applicant. So a student coming in to Canada on international student permit had to show, other than the fees, I'm not talking about the tuition fee. Tuition fee is obviously separate, and that has to be covered in full for the number of years that the student is going to be studying his program. On top of that, every person who is coming in had to show a $10,000 living expenses financial support per year to support their own living expenses, like let's say that would cover their rent.
$10,000 लेके आना है हाथ में. जब वो एयरपोर्ट में आते हैं विनय जी, उनके हाथ में 10,000 होना चाहिए. ये सही है?
Correct. They have to show proof of no. Sorry, you're wrong. not when they come to the airport. They have to show this to the immigration. When they go for their visa, they have to show at the visa office that they have $10,000 in their bank that is reserved for them in their account, and that is meant for
किधर
their
कौन सा बैंक में, भारत में या कनाडा में?
in India.
Okay.
Okay, in India, they have to show that they have $10,000 to support their living expenses, and basically they have to show that this living expense, this particular amount, is strictly for them, and they have to get a statement from the bank. The bank manager would give a statement saying that this is to whomsoever concerned, Mr. So and so or Miss So and so, whoever has got so much rupees that converts to X amount of dollars, which has to be more than $10,000 in their bank account, and this is meant for their living expenses when they go to Canada. So this is what they. So when they go to the visa office, the guy looks at the letter. The guy looks at the on the student also has to show that he's got enough money, enough funds to support his tuition fees, and then they also have to have a letter of offer from the college or university, and then the guy will put a stamp on the visa saying that you've been given a student permit, and with that they come to Canada. You got that right?
Mm-hmm.
So now what has changed? All right, what has changed is basically this $10,000 was in the early 2000, almost 23 years ago, and obviously the cost of living has gone up. I remember in the 2000s, a loaf of bread, like a loaf of bread, used to cost about $1. You could get a loaf of bread for $1. Okay, and today the same bread costs about $3. All right. Now, banana, for example, used to be about 20 to 25 cents a pound. All right. Today, the same bananas cost about 79 to 89 cents a pound. Okay. So I'm just giving you a kind of a relative thing, right? So things have gone up almost 3 times the cost of living. All right. And I remember gas for your car, the gasoline, used to cost about in the range of about
69 cents.
Yeah,
Yeah,
50,
60
60
cents. Yeah.
cents around that
Yep.
range, right? Today it's about $1.49, $1.59, somewhere in that range. All right. So you see, everything has gone up almost 3 times. Okay, so as a result, finally somebody in the government woke up. Like they basically woke up and it was there in a stupor like Kumbhakarna. And then they woke up and said, oh my God, oh, cost of living, oh, we are in 2023, oh my God, the cost of living has gone up and the students are suffering because they're not bringing enough money. So now we have to support them. Okay, so for 2024, a single applicant will need to show they have $20,635 per year. Okay, representing 75% of LICO, in addition to their first year of tuition and travel costs.
Wow, that's a lot, Vinay Ji.
That is double, basically. But I would have expected 3 times, but they have doubled it, which is not correct, because based on what I just told you, everything has gone up in price by 3 times.
मगर
what
मैं
the
ये एक बात
government-
पूछूंगा, मैं आपसे एक बात पूछूंगा विनय जी, आप इसको जब हमने पहले एक वीडियो किए थे, हमारा बातचीत हुआ रहा था, मतलब लोग ऐसा अकाउंट में तुरंत पैसा लगा के 10,000 दिखा के आ जाते हैं, पहले आप बोल रहे थे, अब तो वैसा ही करेंगे, 20,000 दिखाएंगे, आ जाएंगे, इसमें क्या बड़ी बात?
You're right, 100%. 100%. Okay, you're absolutely right. Because
आप 50,000 करो, हम कर देंगे वैसा.
In India and in many other countries, I'm not just targeting India, but in India and many other countries, the international students who are coming in, they have touts, agents. Okay, so these agents basically tell you like, hey, you're going to Canada, you want me to take care of all the application process and stuff like that. They even do the university application or college application. It starts off from there. Okay, they obviously charge some amount of money, and then they will create your visa application. You do your visa application. They will create all the supporting document. They will provide all the supporting documents, including the finance that we just talked about. Okay, they will
Mhm.
provide you everything. They will charge you a certain amount of dollars, and once that is all, your visa is set up, then they will actually book your ticket on through their travel agent and make sure you arrive in Canada. And they will even give you a contact in Canada to settle you in Canada, like, get you a rental, room or whatever, and
Accommodation
accommodate.
and 1 month guest house also they provide many times.
Exactly.
First.
These agents are extremely connected, and they operate at a very high level, you should say, and they've got a very
They
wide
have
network.
strong political connections too.
Yeah, they probably do have a political connection that I'm not sure, but yes, there are a lot of connections they have, and they are widely connected. That's what I should say. They've got a good network. So this is what is going to be the change will apply to new student permit applications received on or after January 1st, 2024. Okay. So while this basically just to give you a background, okay, now why is this government doing this, right? As we know, we have talked about it in our previous videos. And rental costs, for example, rental costs when it was in the 2000, for a room and where you can stay by yourself, okay, a room like a basement apartment, right? With a single kitchen, a washroom, a bedroom, and a small living room, a full one-bedroom basement apartment. Those days used to rent for about $350 to $400. Okay, today a one-bedroom basement apartment rents at $1,500. Okay, so uh, a student is totally unable to afford that, so it's gone up more than three times. So now what has happened is the students come in, they don't bring enough money, they show all kinds of false documents and stuff to just gain their entry into Canada. And once they come in, they are unable to pay for accommodation, so which means that a room that size of about 10 by 10, about 10 students are living there. 10 students in a 10 by 10 room. Okay, they basically have everything, to one wall or something, or they have it in the adjacent room, and a corridor or something, all the suitcases and stuff like that. So pretty much they in the night time they just basically put their sleeping bags and just lie down, 10 of them. So this is what is happening. And number one. Number two, these students are unable to feed themselves. They are unable to pay for groceries. So guess what's happening? They're going to food banks. And now food banks are throwing them out because they're saying international students are not allowed. Many food banks are doing that. So as a result, and some of them are so desperate that they are sleeping under these flyovers and stuff like that. They don't have a home. So this is all what has been happening. And finally, after
And we covered some of them are involved, and in fact involved in drugs and prostitution, those
that
kind of
is
things too.
another thing. Yeah, I will come to that. So because of that, the government have finally woke up and said, oh my god, these guys are unable to feed themselves. Now the guys, the smarter guys, I should say, are still are persevering to kind of sustain themselves, right? So what they're doing is they're getting into drugs, they're getting into prostitution, they're getting into these menial jobs, cleaning jobs, all kinds of stuff. I mean, like you look up on Facebook, for example, Marketplace, right? You see many of these advertisements, like, for I will come and clean your house, I'll come and clean your car, I'll come and clean your driveway, and blah blah blah. All these are mostly students who are doing this, and they're willing to do anything just to survive. And the funny thing was the government actually opened up 40 hours per week for these students. Now, for God's sake, like literally for God's sake, there is 24 hours in a day. Okay. Out of that, 5 days, I mean, obviously everybody needs a break on a Saturday and Sunday, right? To catch up on their studies, especially students I'm talking about. So in an 8-hour day, I mean 24-hour day, 8 hours pretty much goes to your school. You spend 8 hours at school, right? And if you're a full-time student, and then the remaining eight
And most
hours,
of these people are full-time students anyway.
right? And the remaining 8 hours is, you got to take some rest. You got to sleep at night, and you got to clean up yourself and all that. You
Homework,
need some personal time.
homework,
Okay.
homework. Yeah.
Exactly. And then the remaining 8 hours, they're going to be working. So when are they going to do their assignments, their projects and stuff like that for their university or college? So basically, the government is saying, oh, you can work 8 hours a day. You go to college 8 hours a day, and the remaining 8 hours, use it for your assignments, your project work, your for yourself, and then to sleep and to cook and to clean and all that stuff. Is that fair? Like literally, the government is probably smoking something. I think the liberal government. I'm not sure what they're doing, what they're thinking. So this is the
Cannabis.
unfortunate part.
Absolutely. But मैं किसी से बात कर रहा था, विनय जी, if you can just shed a light on it in a quick minute. ये बोल रहे थे कि फीस इतना महंगा है, हम अफोर्ड नहीं कर पाए, इसलिए हमने क्या किया कि ये एक डिप्लोमा कोर्स लिए, ये 1 साल का डिप्लोमा कोर्स, द फीस बिकम्स नॉमिनल, उसमें आ जाते हैं, उधर बैठेंगे, उधर करने के बाद उसमें कुछ नौकरी मिलेगा, फिर हमें फीस कम हो जाएगा, जैसा हमारा उधर का फीस होता है वैसा हो जाता है, देन वी कैन डू द मास्टर्स. ये ऐसा भी है क्या तरीका?
No, you're right. Because what happens is, I'll tell you something. Okay. So these are all things that are happening, and I'm not kind of giving you some false information or making up stories here. All right. Students come in. Let's say University of Toronto has offered a seat to a student. Okay. So they come to Canada, they get their visa, they come to Canada, and they start attending University of Toronto classes. All right. Now, what happens is, it's 3 months, 6 months into the course, they realize that they are unable to afford the tuition fees, and just for information, for the viewers' information, the tuition fees is almost 3 to 4 times more than the domestic students, which I think is fair, because if a person is coming in, I mean, obviously the university also has to subsidize the local students. So that's the whole idea. The standard, they shouldn't be saying.
So you robbed the Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, exactly. The students, I mean, basically this fee structure should not show that domestic students, international students. It should say the fees is so much, which is the international student fee. But for domestic students who are Canadian permanent residents or citizens, they subsidize. Basically, the university subsidizes. That's how they should sell it. But rather than that, all the universities do it the other way. They say, oh, it's university, domestic fees is so much, college, international students is so much, which is kind of, gives a little bit of a unfair thing for everybody, right? So, because you know what, I'll tell you something, like, let's say you want to go to Disney Park, okay, in Florida, okay? So the normal entrance fees is $100 per day to go to Disney Park per person. All right. Now, what they say is, for Florida residents of Florida, they subsidize it to $50. Did you understand that? So basically, the standard for everybody who wants to come in, it's $100. For Florida residents, it's $50. That's how they show.
ये क्या चक्कर है? ये डिप्लोमा करके जाने में क्या फर्क पड़ता है?
No, I'm just saying, giving you an example, right? Now the thing is, coming back to your question. So when this student comes to University of Toronto, 3 months later he realizes this he's unable to afford the fees. So guess what he does? He's Because he's already got a student visa, he switches from University of Toronto to a local ABC college. And ABC college is running out of a plaza in a small one single room classroom. Okay, and they're offering a 6 months certificate, or a 1 year certificate in lab management, for example,
Whatever, yeah.
laboratory management, or laboratory technician, or something like that, or
Hotel
or
management, whatever.
beauty technician, or something like that. Not hotel management. Hotel management is a bigger course, but you could, secretarial course or something like that, right? So, which is a lot easier. These colleges are basically waiting for such students, and they take them on regardless of your grade, your whatever. All they want is money, right? So obviously the cost in University of Toronto per year for international students is probably, let's say, I'm just giving you a number. Let's say it's $20,000 per year. Okay, but when you go to a college like this, they charge you, $7 or $8,000 per year. All right, so that's significantly lower than University of Toronto. And the thing is, it's on a fast track. University of Toronto, you're there for 4 years, but here you're done in 1 year, and your total expense is $8,000, plus of course living expenses. But in University of Toronto, 20 times 4, $80,000 plus living expenses. So, I mean, you don't have to have major brains, Einstein brains, to do the math, right? Just simple math, and you know what the decision is. So these people switch to these colleges, and they finish their diploma or their certificate or whatever, and they apply for immigration, and they've got touts to do that. And within a couple of years they get their immigration, and in the meanwhile they're just kind of continuing on their student visa. They're working illegally and doing stuff and whatever, and they somehow survive till their immigration comes.
And they still maintain kind of, they can go back to Toronto U where they quit before. Is that how it works out?
No. They've totally quit University of Toronto. They're totally in the ABC college. So they finished their ABC college, and that's it. They don't have to report. Nobody has to report back to Immigration Canada to say that, oh, my I'm working, or I'm sorry, I'm studying in University of Toronto. Here are my grades. Every year they don't have to ask for a proof of grades or something to say that you're still continuing as a student. None of that, because these guys, once they enter Canada, they got a free will to do whatever they want. So this is the unfortunate part of the immigration system, and people take advantage of this.
And then they go back to Toronto U, and they get, if they are kind of ambitious to study, by the time their immigration is in PR is in process or whatever, then they do it. That way their fees reduces drastically too.
Yeah, you're right, actually. So if once they get their immigration, and if they're still ambitious to complete their University of Toronto degree, they reapply, and now they get in, and now they're paying a fraction of the fees. Now they're paying 7,000.
And if a person is there for 1 to 2 years, then also their fees get subsidized in Toronto U, or they have to be a PR or
No.
citizen.
You have to be a PR, or or citizen,
Or
unless
a
you get a
refugee.
scholarship. Like international students are also eligible for scholarships, but not everybody gets it. I mean, you got to be extremely smart and stuff, and extremely hardworking. So not everybody gets it.
So your last word on this, Vinay Ji. So the country has put $20,000. It's going to discourage more students from coming. Okay. On the other hand, the real estate market is already crashing, and the students, the colleges are running out of the students. They don't have enough students already. They are running half full. Okay. So how is this going to help the Canadian economy? Okay, number one.
Yeah, I'll give
Number
you some.
two,
I'll give you some quick facts, but before
the
I
shade in a
do that,
minute or two.
yeah, I'll give you a quick facts on that. Actually, what you brought up a good point, but I'll just want to complete that the what the changes are so that international students are aware of before they come in. So number one, the living expenses has you got to show $20,000. Okay, $620,635 per year as living expenses in addition to your tuition. Number one. Number two, the 20-hour work limit, right, per week limit was extended to 40 hours, and that is going to stay till April 30th, 2024. After that, it's going to go back to 20 hours. There is a
क्यों
possibility.
ऐसा?
Sorry.
क्यों?
No, they're cutting down because they kind of figured that they shouldn't be giving 40 hours, because the 40 hours was given because of this disparity in the funds these students are bringing. Now that starting January 1st, students are going to be asked to bring more money, then they don't need to work so much. So let them focus on their studies, right? So that's the reason they're reducing it back to 20 hours. Okay, so number one. Number two, the facilitative measures that was allowed international students to count time spent studying online towards the length of a future post-graduation work permit, as long as it constitutes less than 50% of the program of study, will continue to be in place for students who begin a study program before September 1st, 2024. So you
मतलब
understand?
they had to have at least 50% in class training. Is that what it is?
Correct. In class to, so if they want to do a future post graduation program. All right. And then there was a temporary policy was introduced on 3 occasions to provide an additional 18-month work permit to post graduation work permit holders as their initial work permit was expiring. So a student finishes his postgraduate program, he was allowed to stay for 18 months, extra in Canada. All right. So this foreign national with a post-graduation work permit expiring up to December 31st, 2023 remain eligible to apply. However, this temporary policy will not be extended further. Okay, so that is just to give you an idea. Now, Honorable Mark Miller, he said, international students provide significant cultural, social, and economic benefits to their communities, but they have also faced challenges navigating life in Canada. We are revising the cost of living threshold so that international students understand the true cost of living here. This measure is key to their success in Canada. We are also exploring options to ensure that students find adequate housing. These long overdue changes will protect international students from financially vulnerable situations and exploitation. So, this was his statement when he released all these new policies. Now, just to give you a quick fact, you were just talking about how it's affecting Canadian economy and stuff like that. International education account. This is coming off of Canadian website, okay, Canadian government website. So anybody can Google Canada.ca and go to immigration, refugees, citizenship, and just go into the news article, and they'll be able to find all of this. I mean, this is not coming from any some shady sources or whatever. This is from the Canadian government source. All right. So the quick facts: international education accounts for more than $22 billion in economic activity annually. Okay, this is greater than Canada's exports of auto parts, lumber, or aircraft, and it supports more than 200,000 jobs in Canada. So it's a
Wow.
huge industry. Did you get that? Number one. Number two, Quebec established its own cost of living threshold for international students destined for Quebec's learning institutions and has continued to raise their threshold periodically. So this particular, what I told you, applies to entire Canada except Quebec, because Quebec has its own cost of living threshold. All right. And the new financial guidelines are also being applied to the student direct stream special study permit application process available to residents of 14 countries that requires additional upfront information from the applicant and provides priority processing. So just to summarize that, so I just want to say quickly to all the viewers, listeners, especially the students who are listening to this, international students who are pursuing or thinking of pursuing a career in studies in Canada. So just be aware of what's happening. Just be aware of the news, latest news, and stuff like that. Go into the Canadian government website. Don't rely on other websites, and check it out. Make sure that you are getting the latest and greatest information.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vinay Ji, for coming and sharing your wisdom here. But friends, what do you think? Do comment us, let us know. And one more reliable source, friends. This is why you had to check Bharat Mark. That is, we have given the playlist before you go and check it up. And comment and share and ask any questions. We will love to help you out as much as we can. And looking forward to see you again. Till then, Vinay Ji, Dhanyavad, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Jai Shri Ram. मिलेंगे अगले वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए जय श्री राम दोस्तों।